The blade shined in the firelight. Angela's hands shook as she raised the razor above Mide's head, her heart pounding like war drums in her chest. His sacred dreadlocks, thick as python coils, dark as the midnight sky, lay spread across her lap. 20 years of unbroken growth, 20 years of ancestral protection, 20 years of power that made him unbeatable. One cut, that's all it would take. Mide slept peacefully, his massive chest rising and falling, completely unaware that the woman he loved was about to destroy him. Outside, the rival Okoro clan warriors waited in the shadows, their spears sharp, their patience thin. They had tried everything to defeat the mighty Mide: surprise attacks, poisoned arrows, magic, but nothing worked. Nothing could harm the man whose strength flowed from a promise made before he was born. Until tonight. Angela placed the blade against the first thick lock, her breath catching. The metal felt cold, heavy, final. What have I done? She thought, even as her hand began to move. Wait! Before we continue this intense story, smash that like button if you're already hooked, and hit subscribe because you do not want to miss how this ends. Trust me, what happens next will blow your mind. Now, back to the story. Let me take you back to the beginning. Mide wasn't always the most feared warrior in all the land. In fact, his story started before he even took his first breath. His mother, Adeze, had been unable to have children for 17 years. 17 years of shame. 17 years of whispers behind her back. 17 years of watching other women carry babies on their backs while her own arms remained empty. She had tried everything: herbs from the medicine woman, prayers at the river shrine, gifts to the ancestors. Nothing worked. Until the night of the red moon. Desperate and broken, Adeze climbed the sacred mountain that looked over their village of Umunze. At the top stood the ancient baobab tree, twisted and old, where the spirits were said to walk between worlds. She fell to her knees, tears streaming down her face. "Ancestors," she cried out, "if you grant me a son, I will give him to you completely. He will serve your purpose. His strength will belong to you. I swear this on my life." Thunder rumbled, though the sky was clear. The baobab tree began to glow with a strange golden light. And then, silence. Adeze held her breath. A voice, like wind through canyon walls, spoke. "Your prayer is heard, daughter of Umunze. You will have a son. He will be mighty beyond measure, feared by enemies, celebrated by allies. But there is a condition, a sacred promise that can never be broken." "Anything!" Adeze gasped. "I'll do anything!" "His hair must never be cut. From birth until death, no blade shall touch his head. His locks will grow with the power of 10 generations of warriors. As long as they remain whole, he will be unbeatable. But if they are cut..." The voice trailed off with warning. "What happens if they're cut?" whispered Adeze. "He will become as weak as any ordinary man. The promise will be broken. The ancestors' protection will disappear like morning mist." Adeze nodded hard. "I understand. I accept. We will honor the promise." 9 months later, Mide was born under another red moon. And from the moment he entered the world, his hair grew, thick, dark, and impossibly fast. By his first birthday, he had more hair than most adults. By age 5, his dreadlocks reached his waist, and by the time he became a man, they flowed down to his ankles like sacred rivers of power. And what power it was! Mide could pull out trees with his bare hands. He could wrestle 3 bulls at once and win. Once, when raiders from the Okoro clan attacked Umunze, 12-year-old Mide picked up a grinding stone that usually took 4 men to move and threw it at the invaders like it was a pebble. The stone crushed their war canoe, and the survivors ran away, spreading tales of the demon child with the serpent hair. As Mide grew into manhood, his reputation grew even larger. He became the protector of Umunze, leading their warriors to victory after victory. No enemy could defeat him. Arrows bounced off his skin, spears broke against his chest. Once he fought an entire day without rest, defeating 50 warriors by himself. But Mide had one weakness. Not his hair. Everyone in Umunze knew about the promise and protected that secret strongly. No, his weakness was simpler and more human. His weakness was love. Angela appeared in Umunze during the harvest festival, when the village was full of travelers, traders, and visitors from distant lands. She was beautiful, the kind of beautiful that made men forget their own names. Her skin glowed like polished mahogany. Her eyes sparkled with intelligence and mystery. Her smile could break down the most guarded heart. And she smiled at Mide. "I've heard stories about you," she said, walking up to him at the festival dance. "They say you're the strongest man in all the kingdoms." Mide, who could face an army without fear, felt his palms sweat. "Stories are often bigger than the truth." "Are they?" Angela's eyes traveled over his tall frame, his muscular arms, his amazing locks that swayed like a living crown. "I don't think these stories are bigger than the truth at all." From that first conversation, Mide was caught under her spell. Angela was different from the village women who had chased him. She was intelligent, worldly, and fascinating. She told stories of distant places, asked deep questions, and seemed genuinely interested in him, not just his strength, but his thoughts, his dreams, his fears. What Mide didn't know was that Angela was no ordinary traveler. She was from the Okoro clan, the same clan that had suffered countless defeats at Mide's hands. The Okoro elders had spent months creating this plan. They had searched their entire territory for the most beautiful, most clever, most sneaky woman they could find. When they discovered Angela, a widow with a sharp mind and a wounded heart that had learned to feel nothing, they made her an offer. "Get close to him, discover his secret, help us defeat him. In return, we'll give you land, livestock, and gold enough to last 3 lifetimes." Angela agreed, not because she was evil, but because she was practical. Her husband had died in battle against Umunze warriors. She had nothing. This was survival. But the plan required patience. For months, Angela courted Mide slowly, carefully. She visited Umunze frequently, always with good reasons, selling pottery, buying fabric, visiting distant cousins. Each visit, Mide and Angela grew closer. They would walk by the river, share meals, talk under the stars. Mide fell hopelessly in love. And Angela? Something unexpected happened. Despite her mission, despite her clan's expectations, she found herself actually caring for this gentle giant. Yes, he was scary in battle, but with her he was tender, thoughtful, funny. He made her laugh. He listened when she spoke. He treated her like she mattered. This wasn't part of the plan. 6 months into their relationship, the Okoro clan elders grew impatient. "You've had enough time," the clan chief told Angela during a secret meeting at the border. "We need results. Find out the source of his power, or we'll find someone who can." Angela's stomach turned. "These things take time. He's not a fool." Then be smarter than he is. Make him weak for you. Make him trust you so much that he'll tell you anything. We don't care how you do it. Just do it." So Angela pushed harder. One evening, as they sat by the river watching the sunset, she traced her fingers along Mide's arm. "I've never met anyone like you," she whispered. "You're not just strong physically. There's something different, something almost magical about you." Mide smiled, but said nothing. "Don't you trust me?" Angela complained. "We've been together for months, and yet you keep parts of yourself hidden." "What do you mean?" "Your strength," Angela said carefully. "Where does it come from? Everyone in the region speaks of it like it's supernatural. Some say you made a deal with spirits. Others say you're half god. What's the truth?" Mide laughed. "I'm just a man, Angela. I train hard, I eat well. There's no magic." But Angela kept asking. Over weeks and months, she asked again and again, in different ways. She'd joke about it, get angry about it, cry about it. She used every trick: romance, guilt, playing mind games. "If you loved me, you'd tell me," she whispered one night, tears in her eyes. "How can we have a future together if you don't trust me with your secrets?" Mide's strength began to break. He did love her. He wanted to marry her. And what harm could it do? Angela was going to be his wife. Surely she deserved to know. Finally, one fateful evening, after Angela had threatened to leave Umunze forever, Mide broke down. "Wait!" he called out as she turned to go. "I'll tell you. Just promise me you'll never share this secret." Angela's heart raced. This was it. "I promise," she said, and she almost meant it. Mide took a deep breath. "Before I was born, my mother made a promise with the ancestors. As long as my hair remains uncut, I carry the strength of 10 generations. But if my locks are cut—" "What?" Angela whispered. "I become ordinary, powerless. The promise breaks." Angela stared at him, at his beautiful locks flowing down his back. The secret she'd spent months chasing. The key to defeating Umunze's greatest warrior. The answer to all her clan's prayers. It was right there in front of her. That night, Angela didn't sleep. She stared at the ceiling of her guest hut, torn between two impossible choices. On one side was her clan, her survival, her future wealth and security. On the other was Mide, the man who had shown her she could feel again, that she could love again. But in the end, years of hardship and survival instinct won. The Okoro clan was her family. This was bigger than Ronkent's. 3 nights later, Angela invited Mide to her hut for dinner. She prepared his favorite meal, goat stew with yams and vegetables. She poured palm wine freely, and in that wine she mixed a sleeping powder gotten from the Okoro medicine man. "To us," Angela toasted, raising her cup. "To our future together." "To our future," Mide repeated, drinking deeply. Within an hour, his eyelids grew heavy. His speech became unclear. Angela guided him to her sleeping mat, where he fell into deep sleep. This was the moment from our opening scene. Angela got the razor she'd hidden beneath her mat. Her hands shook as she picked up the first lock. Outside, she could hear the faint movements of Okoro warriors taking positions around the village. They were waiting for her signal, a lit torch in the window. "Just do it," she told herself. "Cut the hair, light the torch. Let the warriors handle the rest. You'll be rich, you'll be safe. This is just survival." But as she put the blade in position, she looked at Mide's peaceful face, the face that had smiled at her with pure joy, the face that had never looked at her with anything but love and trust. "I'm sorry," she whispered, tears streaming down her cheeks. "I'm so sorry." And she made the first cut. The lock fell away like a dead snake, then another, and another. Angela worked quickly, automatically, not letting herself think about what she was doing. Mide's power wasn't just in one lock, she had to cut them all. It took 20 minutes to cut away 20 years of sacred growth. When she finished, Mide lay there looking almost boyish with his newly bald head. He was still asleep, still breathing peacefully, completely unaware that his entire life had just changed. Angela lit the torch. Within minutes, Okoro warriors poured into Umunze. There was no massive battle, because there was no fight back. With Mide knocked out, the village had no champion. The warriors quickly surrounded Angela's hut, their spears pointed at the door. When Mide finally woke up, it was to rough hands dragging him outside. He tried to fight back naturally, and immediately realized something horribly wrong. His strength was gone. His body felt hollow, weak, ordinary. He touched his head and felt only bare skin. "No!" he gasped. "No!" His eyes found Angela standing nearby, the razor still in her hand, his sacred locks scattered around her feet like broken promises. "You!" he breathed. "You did this!" Angela couldn't meet his eyes, couldn't speak, couldn't explain that she'd struggled with the decision, that part of her had wanted to refuse, that she hated herself for what she'd done. The Okoro chief stepped forward, grinning happily. "The mighty Mide. Not so mighty now, are you? Chain him." They took Mide away in chains, the man who had once been unbeatable, now as helpless as a child. The Okoro clan enslaved him, making their former enemy grind grain and carry water like a common servant. They paraded him through their territory as a trophy, letting everyone see how the great warrior had fallen. And Angela? She received her payment: land, livestock, gold, everything she'd been promised. But she found no joy in it. Every night she saw Mide's face when he'd realized her betrayal. Every morning she woke up feeling like she'd traded her soul for coins. The Okoro elders celebrated their victory, but they learned an important lesson from that experience. The one who knows your secret controls your fate. Mide had been unbeatable for one reason. Nobody outside Umunze knew the source of his power. The moment that secret was shared with the wrong person, his destiny was sealed. Trust was his downfall. As for Mide himself, years later, after much suffering, his hair began to grow back. Slowly, quietly, his strength returned. And when it did, well, that's a story for another time. But let's just say that Mide learned never to share his secrets again, and Angela learned that some betrayals cost far more than gold can pay for. So, what's the lesson here? Be careful who you trust with your secrets. Not everyone who smiles at you wishes you well. Some people will use your weakness as a weapon. As the ancestors say, the one who knows your secret controls your fate. If this story got you thinking, smash that like button and hit subscribe for more African folktales with powerful life lessons. Drop a comment below. Have you ever trusted the wrong person with a secret? What happened? Let's talk about it. Until next time, protect your secrets, choose your trust wisely, and remember, your strength is only as safe as the people who know its source. Peace.